The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast coming to you August 26, 2025. This is also the debut of the Earnestly Speaking NBA show. And joining us now, and will be every time we do this show, will be, of course, our own Greg Hrinya. We haven't seen him since June, I think, right?
That's right. Thanks for having me. Right when the season ended.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So we have a lot to catch up on and stuff. But but this is also the debut of the NBA show we'll be doing. Once we get to the season, obviously we'll have probably different theme music for this stuff and the backdrop and all that stuff. I'm working on artwork right now, but yeah. So this will be a segmented NBA show dedicated to you and I only now going forward, where we will talk all NBA on this podcast. It'll be on the feed, but it's be a show dedicated within the feed to the NBA and whatnot. And I'm honored to have you, especially that you agreed to do this with me. Also, we have had a great time last couple of years, especially this past season, discussing NBA basketball and whatnot. So I'm glad you're on for the ride with me. So, how's your summer? First off, yes, how's your summer so far, Greg? Oh, so I say it's ending soon, but how's it going?
It's been good. Can't complain. Got to go on a few trips down the beach a couple times, watching a little baseball.
I saw that.
Prepping for fantasy football,
Yeah, in fact, when I get off this call with you, I'm going to do a draft. This is my return to playing fantasy football for the first time in 6 or 7 years.
Oh, wow.
The only reason I'm doing it is because my boss, and I do a podcast with my on my day job, a weekly podcast with my boss, well, not a sports show, and they put together a league. So for the sake of camaraderie and all that, I said, I'll do it just because. Otherwise, I would not do this. I am more like, when it comes to like football, I prefer to sports bet. If I do fantasy, I'd rather do daily fantasy, because it doesn't require a commitment. It's 1 week and you're out.
Yeah, I'm a lifer though with the season-long fantasy. That's been my thing for, I don't know, 20 years. So. Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is for me though. And this is obviously silly on my end, but I think what bothered me, I spoke about this on one of my podcasts recently this week. I hate the fact that when people discuss football as a whole, when they say someone stings or someone's great, it's like, oh, they're awesome because they're fantasy numbers. And it's all dictated by only the fantasy numbers. And I can't stand that. And to me, that kind of took the love out of the game for me. And to be honest with you, I'm ADHD. So after 4 or 5 weeks, if I tend to lose interest, especially if my team's not doing well. And that's not fair to the rest of the team. That's the rest of the league that's having teams that are doing well, and they need me to still play up to par, at least play spoiler. So that's why I always bow out. But we'll see. Maybe this will be the year I come back, and you know what, I'm feeling it, and maybe I'll start doing this more often. But I will be honest with you.
How many teams are in your league?
From what I was told, 12.
Oh, okay, the perfect number. So what draft slot do you have?
I don't know yet. I'm looking at the app right now. I'm trying to find that still.
I feel like an hour before they typically let that be known, unless it's half an hour, and in which case you have to wait 3 more minutes. But
what I'm bringing it up right now, actually, the app, and I don't see the order. Where's the draft? Where's the board? Show me. No, forget the walkthrough. I don't want to see a walkthrough. I don't care about the walkthrough. Come on. Skip walkthrough. Thank you. The order is okay. Here it is. So I am. I'm way down here. I'm the 12th pick. So
Okay.
so it's a snake draft. So I have 2 picks in a row.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm in 3 leagues, and my one league on Friday, that's the only league that they reveal the draft position early, and I've got a 12th pick in that draft too. So
Yeah.
I really want to take 2 wide receivers, but I can't do it. I've got to go running back, wide receiver.
Yeah, I do too. I'm gonna go research running back because you know what, you want to scoot the running back ASAP because there's not enough quality running backs in the league to wait to the 3rd and 4th round. Although I'll be honest with you, I am tempted to take Lamar Jackson too if I do take him in the 2nd round because his numbers are very bloated too also because of what he does. So
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get a quarterback maybe in the 3rd round, like when it snakes around again, 3rd, 4th round, whoever's best that's left of that group. Right. But also from a wide receiver standpoint, I want to take 2 wide receivers. But if you look at it, like once you get to round 5 and 6, like you can still get like Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, like guys who should have really big years. Before, guys who are on bad teams are going to be throwing the ball a lot. It's not indicative of like how good they are, but it's like their stats should be good. So,
right. But you guys are here to listen to NBA basketball, not fantasy football. Obviously, we have football shows on this feed. We've dedicated to that. We're talking NBA. This will probably be the only, at least till October anyway, I see, unless barring any huge news that comes out between now and then, that show we do here. This is why it's kind of like a pilot episode, we'll call that, before we get to the season. The schedule, like what we'll do when the season starts, we'll probably go bi-weekly-ish. And then once we get to the end of the football season, we'll pick it up and start the weekly, as we did last year. You know what I'm saying? Unless things are cooking in the NBA to where it requires us to be weekly. We'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. But I want to discuss with you real quick. There's not much to talk about really, obviously, other than the fact that schedules are out for the opening night, Christmas games, all that. The opening night schedule, of course, opening up the season up with the Rockets and the Thunder. Opening night, Warriors and Lakers, obviously compelling. Both games were compelling for different reasons. You have one game, of course, the first one, the champs getting the rings. The Rockets, of course, gets Kevin Durant, and no one's talking about this, really, be honest with you, but to see Kevin Durant, the guy who was, some may consider him still the best player in Thunder history, to be there in attendance, to watch the team he was drafted by and played, 9 years with, get their rings, the first rings ever in franchise history. That's going to be some compelling storytelling there, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think Oklahoma City, not that we're analyzing game by game, but I would still like them in that game. I still like the way they're positioned. I know Houston, if we're looking at the West, and it's not a coincidence that all the games on opening night are from the Western Conference. That just tells you what the NBA thinks about the Eastern Conference this year. So, they did that last year too. And it's like, wow, the East is really falling. But Houston had a really active offseason. I would say Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver, those are the 3 teams in the West that, everyone's going to be looking up to. So the fact that you get 2 of those top 3 teams right off the bat with all the history. And you mentioned it earlier about Giannis. And I think that one interesting note, like when you look at Durant, like Durant will wind up playing 20 years, 21, 22 years, however much he decides to play.
Barring any catastrophic injury, he's going to play a long time.
And he will have wound up spending less than half his career in OKC. So, I think that when you look back at his career, how will he be perceived at the end of it? Because, he will have played, he had a cup of coffee with the Nets, a cup of coffee with the Suns, he had a cup of coffee with the Warriors where he won his championships, but people don't really look at those as the best championships a star has ever won. Now he's going to Houston. He might spend 4 or 5 years in Houston. So, I feel like Oklahoma City is really just a stop along the way, as opposed to when you look at all these sports, the guy gets retired and goes into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you're what hat is he going to have on the bust when they unveil the statue? And it's I really don't know for Durant, because all his success really will have come elsewhere. It was leading up in Oklahoma City, and he never quite got there. And to your point, that's why it's so interesting that he gets to see a group of guys in that uniform that were able to climb the mountain, and he gets to sit across the floor and watch. So that is compelling to me, and a nice little bit of schedule making by the NBA.
So I guess the question there, you mentioned it, is Durant going to remember more as a journeyman or more as a Thunder player? What's more likely to be remembered as? Because I still remember the Thunder, to be honest with you, but he's obviously a cup of coffee in many places. Different Starbucks, of course, in Brooklyn and Phoenix and Golden State. He won his rings in Golden State, obviously, but of course, people don't really give him credit for that because that was more of a bandwagon humping when they call that. I still look at Durant as OKC still. I don't know what it is, because to me, I'm not saying his best years were there, although one could argue that at least a chunk of his best years were in OKC. But to me, his most of the grind and how we got to know him was with the Thunder and him and Westbrook. Still very memorable years, and he went to finals there at least once, and they were always competitive. So I will still, to be honest with you, I would still lean the Thunder, honestly.
I would lean that way now only because he's played the most years with that franchise. But what happens, for argument's sake, if in the next 3 years he wins a title with Houston? And then that becomes like the LeBron title that he went back to Cleveland and won. Like, will people then forget about OKC because he won a title somewhere where it was a little more legitimate than what he won in Golden State? So, like, does that change his narrative if he's like one of the driving forces on a title team in Houston, let's say, this coming season?
Yeah, that's a good point, because Houston's not Golden State in 2016, like in 2017. Like, Houston is a good team, but you and I picked them to lose in the first round anyway as a 2 seed, which did happen because we thought this team is still pretty young, and this and that was a nice story. But come on, we didn't think this team was a championship contender. Certainly now you go to a team that Houston, that's still a good team, but no one's looking at them as a contender now until Durant got there. Now with Durant there, that changes the whole scope of the situation. So obviously a Houston ring was way heavier than a Golden State ring. However, will the impact of his 9 years in Oklahoma City still be bigger than the one ring? Now, let's say he plays 4 or 5 years in Houston and gets a title or two, and he's the best player in the team. Now we're having a conversation. But I was still, even with the one, let's say it was a title this year in Houston, and you say he retires in 2 years after that, I would probably still remember him as a Thunder first. Still, Durant's career is so complicated. It really is. His career arc is probably the most complicated when we talk about legacies and perception. It's probably the hardest one to really define, because it's almost not even fair, because he did ring chase, I'm going to call that, by virtue of what we consider ring chasing. But at the same time, it's like he didn't break his contracts. I mean, other than the fact that he asked for a tryout at Brooklyn, and obviously Phoenix wanted to get rid of him, he's honored his deals pretty much.
Yeah, it's complicated. And to your point, if let's say he wins 2 titles in the next 5 years and then retires, like, then maybe we're looking at it differently. But I like, you look at a lot of the game's greats, like, even if you want to look at it currently, like Giannis, you're going to look at as a Buck. You're going to look at Jokic as a Nugget. Historically, Kobe as a Laker and Jordan as a Bull. I mean, this is a lot different than that. And I mean, maybe even LeBron, you probably still look at him as a Cavalier just because that's who he was.
We still do. We still do.
Won a title there. Yeah.
We still do. I will say, had Durant won a title in OKC before he left, I think that's different. I think that wouldn't be a conversation. But the fact that he didn't win a title there, but he spent the most time there, and he won 2 in Golden State, assuming he wins 1 in Houston, that might change some things here and there. But we'll see. He's a very complicated guy to figure out. But it'll be interesting to see how he reacts. He's a very emotional guy, and I know he'll be feeling some kind of way watching that ceremony while he's on the sidelines and whatnot. The second game, of course, is a battle of 2 veterans and 2 teams. Well, I say that, although the best player on one team isn't really LeBron James anymore. It's Luka Doncic. Warriors at Lakers. 2 teams that are kind of like, I guess we consider marquee franchises, marquee teams still by virtue of the stars, but 2 teams that are still, let's be real here, they're middling teams in the Western Conference. Like you just mentioned, the 3 teams in the Western Conference, the 3 best teams. None of them we mentioned were Golden State or the Lakers. And yet, Luka, watching him in the offseason so far, and he's lost a lot of weight, his conditioning, he's lifting weights and all that. Let's hope that translates into something positive for the Lakers. Maybe this is the pivot now we see a Luka now, that maybe the Lakers are going to be that 4th team in the Western Conference that enters that conversation. What do you think?
I look at it as two teams that are sort of going in the wrong direction, especially when you look at Golden State. I mean, like, they're just getting older and older. They still have, this is like a marquee game if it were played 5 years ago. It's got the name cachet, but I mean, I don't know that, like, I would say I'm more excited to watch the first game than the second game. I mean, the Lakers are intriguing. I don't know that I love their roster. I think they have a lot of questions on their roster. I mean, outside of Luka, I mean, you could basically go up and down every spot. I mean, is LeBron going to be there past this year? Is Austin Reeves going to be there past this year? I thought one of the most comical things that went on in the offseason was DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers, and all of a sudden this was some home run move, and they got a former number 1 pick. And it's like, if Milwaukee had made that same signing, they would have said, oh, the Bucks signed this bum. They expect that to keep Giannis happy, blah, 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 blah. The Lakers sign him, and it's like, oh, this is new life for DeAndre Ayton, new life for the Lakers. It's just the way that it's presented. It's like they go overboard to try and make the Lakers out to have every one of their moves be this Cinderella move. I don't think Ayton is going to do anything substantial. I don't know that LeBron's going to be there that long. I think Reeves is a possible guy that could be moved just because of the amount of money he's going to command. The one thing they are set with is Luka. So, I mean, you're happy about that. I mean, you've got a top 5 player in the league at a relatively young age, 27 years old. So, I mean, they know that they've got that going forward. But outside of that, it's a lot of question marks. You know, I mean, even like Dorian Finney-Smith, even the way that ended, not that he's a young guy, but just the way that went down, where he went to Houston because he thought that that Rob Pelinka was trying to tank his value on the market so that they could get him back at a lower deal. And then he found out about that. And he's like, I'm not going back there under any circumstance. And that's how he wanted to.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame either. But I mean, like, just you see some of those shenanigans go on, and it's like, you know, I don't know 100% like where the Lakers are going. I don't look at their roster as like, I look at the Clippers as having a better team personally.
I think so too. All things equal. Yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean, if you're looking at a deep conference, and, you know, you still have to consider teams like Minnesota and whatnot. So, I mean, like, where are the Lakers right now, even if everything's going well? Like, are they 5? Are they 6? They're not in the top 3, in my opinion. And considering one of their biggest names is
That's LeBron. A good question. I'm glad you said that. So I'll pivot to this real quick then. In the Western Conference alone, and again, this is a caveat. When I look at contenders, like finals contenders, the way I see it, and maybe it could be different for you, but for me, is this team going to be playing or has a chance to be playing in that conference championship, conference finals round? Like, do you see X team playing in the conference finals round? And if you do, that, in my opinion, they are what I consider a finals contender, because obviously, if you're playing the conference finals, you're contending to go to the finals. How many teams in the West do you consider right now in August actual finals contenders?
Maybe 4 or 5. I mean, definitely the 3 that I listed before. I mean, I think Oklahoma City Thunder, you can slot them in that position for the next couple of years. I would consider Houston one of those teams just because they were able to keep the Amen Thompsons of the world. You know, like, they didn't have to really gut their team to go out and get Durant. They just gave the 10th pick and one of their weakest playoff performers, and they kept everything else basically equivalent. So they kept Şengün, they kept Tari Eason, they kept Reed Shepherd, who is going to play a role. So, I mean, they didn't have to really gut any of their roster to go out and add an all-star. And defense is going to be their calling card anyway. So, I mean, I think that's going to help them. Denver, I thought, got a lot better. I'll still give a nod to Minnesota just because I feel like they still have one of the best young players in the league.
And they kept the core together, and we expect and Edwards to continue to ascend.
Yeah, and I mean, outside losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I mean, you know, they kept the core together for the most part, and you've got to assume that as Edwards moves more into his prime, that, like, he's only going to get better, the team's only going to get better. And I'll still give a nod to the Clippers, only because I feel like they did a really good job with pretty much not much maneuverability. And I know we're not talking about the East now, but I thought that John Collins, Norman Powell trade was very interesting in the sense that, like, the Clippers have basically set it up so that they're like kind of an old team where it's like all veterans, but like they all their contracts expire at the same time. So it's like as soon as like the summer of 27 comes around, they could then go out and sign the next young crop of players. So I mean, like they're keeping themselves competitive now with guys like Kawhi and James Harden, and obviously they go out and add John Collins. We'll see how that works. They still have Bogdanovich. Like they have a lot of good players across their roster. A lot of older players. So, I mean, injuries obviously could come into play, but I mean, they're not stuck with this core for the next, like, it's not like an Embiid situation where Embiid's knee is shot. He's on the books for 4 more years. The Clippers are in a situation where like they can move off of these guys fairly easily. So I like the way they've built the teams competitive now. They have optionality for later. So I would say like those 4 or 5 teams, mainly the 3 with like the Clippers and the Timberwolves, like kind of on the outside. I still think it might be a little early for San Antonio. But I mean, I do expect them to be in the playoffs in one way or another.
Yeah, I agree with you. 4 teams. I say 5, but the 5th team, the Clippers, will be asterisk because of the health. Because it's like one of those things. It's a trust issue. It's more like, okay, can Kawhi stay healthy? Harden be healthy? Can he show up in the playoffs? They've added some good pieces around them, but again, Bradley Beal should be okay. But I mean, again, it's a trust issue. One thing else at this point, we've been hurt many times. You and I were talking about. I was saying before the playoffs started this year that they were live, and then they had dead rights at one point in the series, and then that tap in by Aaron Gordon on the dunk, whatever. Changed the series, in my opinion. So if that doesn't go in, they go to overtime. Clippers win that series up 3-1, and that is a different conversation. And they could give OKC problems. Who knows? Because the Thunder were vulnerable in the playoffs.
Totally.
Let's get to the Christmas games now. Which obviously this is, we'll at this point will be over 2 months into the season, but a lot of people who are mostly casual will consider this time of year the real kickoff of the season, when people start really engaging in the NBA across the board by Christmas time, because of course football is winding down and whatnot. So the first Christmas game here, Cavs at Knicks. This is clearly the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference, right? Clearly.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to opening night. Like no Eastern Conference teams playing on opening night, and you've only got the opening, the lunchtime appetizers, the Eastern Conference, then all the other games are Western Conference games. So it kind of tells you what the league thinks about it. But those 2 teams clearly are the best 2 in the league. And I actually like what the Knicks did this offseason. I think that everyone's going to say that Cleveland is like the hands down favorite just because of the debt.
I've heard that.
I think that a lot of people.
If you're trusting, wait, hold on. If a lot of people are trusting the Cavaliers to win the East, but based on what we've seen the last 3 years, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're watching.
Well, that's fine, but it's just the nature of all these teams that are out of it. You're taking Indiana out of it. You're taking Boston out of it. So, I mean, Orlando is brand new. So, I mean, how often does a team the first year you put them together, they come through? So, I mean, you're really limiting it to the Knicks and the
Cavs. I agree with you on that point, but if I'm telling you right now, head to head, who I'm taking the series in the conference finals, seeing Knicks and Cavs right now, I'm taking the Knicks.
Yeah, me too. But I don't know. But I doubt that is the consensus among the NBA world. I will just put it that way. And maybe that's a Knicks bias. I don't know, but I would imagine.
You're telling me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're telling me that there is a bigger consensus, a large consensus of people who believe that next year, hypothetically in May, if we get a Knicks Cavs series, that the Cavs will win in 7 games?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say that. Not me, not you, but I will say that I think people will begrudgingly take the Cavs because, well, one, there's an inherent Knicks bias that runs through, and I think a lot of people look at the Cavs team as like, oh, every year they've gotten incrementally better, and they haven't lost anything. Again,
to me though, but Greg, to me, it's less about the Knicks. The reason why I don't have the Cavs in the East is because I don't trust them. That's nothing to do with the Knicks at all.
True, but you could also then go down the line, and I don't want to be a Cavs apologist here, but then you could look and say, I don't trust Karl Anthony Towns. Like Mikal Bridges no-showed a lot of games. Like Jalen Brunson is too small and he's a cone on defense. How do you guard pick and roll with with Towns and Brunson because you have two, less than ideal defenders out on the floor at the same time. You've got a new coach. How does that work? I would still take the Knicks. I'm just saying that I feel like the consensus will be that way, just given the fact that most of these national pundits tend to take shots at the Knicks when and where they can. So that would be my assumption. Not that I wanted to get us sidetracked, but living in the New York area, the Knicks for clicks thing is real. I think it's better when there's drama surrounding the Knicks for people covering them. So I doubt that there's going to be a lot of people out there. Kendrick Perkins might be one of them who's picking the Knicks to go all the way. But I mean,
that should tell you all you need to know about that.
Yeah, but aside from that, I think people are going to be on the Cavs bandwagon. Kenny Atkinson, Coach of the Year, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley continue to taking a leap. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that the Cavs have plenty of holes. In a championship sense, obviously not compared to next year's Pacers, for example.
Right. All right. Second game, we have Spurs at Thunder. Again, San Antonio's the Thunder. We know what we know there. The Spurs are the team that can be the biggest buster of the Western Conference. You signed De'Aaron Fox. Wemby's back. He's gotten health. He's cleared health to play. All things equal for this team, they've added some good pieces. I think this is the team that can crack top 6 in the Western Conference, and this is a big marquee game for them to prove themselves here.
San Antonio is an interesting team because they have the most assets in the league in terms of going out and making a move for a whale type player. So it'll be interesting to see how patient they are and how patient the players are to continue on this timeline. Because if Wemby, obviously all-world player, unicorn, you're thrilled you have him. But now you've got Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, all kind of the same player. How does that work? Is that something that, is Dylan Harper going to be okay with getting 20 minutes a game, where had he gone to Washington, he'd be playing 38 minutes a game and winning Rookie of the Year? It's easy for everyone to say that works now. But I feel like they have one too many guards in that room. And given all the picks that they have, I don't think this is the final iteration of that team. I just don't know what's going to be available down the line for them to go out and get. But I mean, I think that it's more interesting on paper right now just because you're just assembling talent. But I don't know how that practically works. I mean, look, they're going to be a good team. I predict them to be in the playoffs. But I'm just looking at it from a contention standpoint. I still think that they're going to need to consolidate some of that guard talent.
Yeah. Rockets, Lakers. Of course, that speaks for itself. Lakers, Luka and LeBron, and of course KD. But again, we'll see what this Houston team is going to be. I mean, this Houston team should be in the top 2 seeds in the West by the time we get to Christmas.
Yeah, totally. I think Houston will be fine. I mean, I don't think there's going to be growing pains there. I think that Durant is the most malleable superstar you could have. You can just drop him on any team and he can play. And all those young guys, they're not going to be thrown off by him being out there. So
right. Mavs at Warriors. Intrigued by the Mavs getting the spot because Kyrie won't be back till probably at earliest All-Star break. Obviously AD, you would hope he's healthy. But this is obviously a Cooper Flag showcase.
Yeah, totally, and that's why people are going to be tuning in to watch. It's interesting because you look at it from their standpoint, and it's would it make more sense for them to unload AD and just go the other direction and just get on a lesser timeline? I know they're not going to do that because I know that Nico Harrison, his guys are AD and Kyrie. But I mean, and look, Cooper Flag can fit in with any team. We talked about it before. He was working out with the national team last summer, and everyone was saying that he was, going toe-to-toe with all these NBA guys. So, I mean, it's not like he can't come and play now. It just makes you wonder, how much they're going to put on his plate right away and how that's going to go. I don't anticipate them being a 4 seed, but it would be a lot more interesting if Kyrie were playing, that's for sure.
Right. I think the best game of the entire slate, honestly, is the last one. Wolves and Nuggets, and they have a little weird rivalry going the last couple of years. They met in the playoffs, I think, 2 years ago, and the year before that, Wolves and Nuggets to me easily. I think it's easy for me, honestly, the best game of the 5.
Yeah, and honestly, out of all the teams in the West, if we're picking today, barring injury, I would say the Nuggets would be my favorite to go to the Western Conference, to go to the finals, to win the Western Conference Finals, to go to the finals. Yeah, I thought that they had. Yeah, I thought that they had a remarkable offseason. I thought that trading Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson was a huge move, not just because I think Cam Johnson is a better fit for them, but also because he makes so much less money that they were able to then use that space to then go out and get Valanciunas, to go out and get Bruce Brown. They were able to turn one player into 3 players that I think are going to fit what they want to do better. And their biggest warp, I guess you could say, was their depth. And like, do you want DeAndre Jordan going out there for 15 minutes a night, or would you rather have Valanciunas, who's, a walking double-double? Like, is he a perfect player? No, not by a long shot. But I mean, for 12 to 15 minutes, he can give you what you need. And they also have Day'Ron Holmes coming back from an Achilles last year. So I mean, like they've got a lot more depth, I would say, than they've had in the past. And I like Cam Johnson's ability to just stand out there and hit threes. I think he's a little bit more of a willing defender than Porter Jr. was. I mean, I think Zach Lowe's joke was that that Porter Jr. could go 2 weeks without grabbing a rebound. So, so I just think from like an IQ standpoint, and also that Cam Johnson's contract opened up space for them to go out and add some other guys that will help Jokic. I like their depth. I like the fact that they've got arguably the best player in the league. I would say it's between him and Giannis, but you could certainly make the argument for him.
Right. Let me see. Quick answer here on Giannis. He's still a member of the Bucks. There's been like little rumblings here and there that he still hasn't made a 100% decision when he's going to stay long term. Just give me a quick percentage of chance that he is on this roster by, let's say, training camp.
If Giannis is on the roster by training camp?
Yeah.
100%.
100%. What about if I say
even by Christmas? 100%. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Okay. Because there's been little rumblings here and there, like, he's still undecided, sort of, but then like there's no like strong commitment.
Giannis is also a big troll, So I mean, like, I think that he likes, and I don't even know if the Bucks mind all this stuff being out there, because all the moves that they've made, like, I'm not one to go for the words, I'm one to go for the actions, and I personally don't see them waving Lillard, stretching him, and then getting Turner if the goal was not to build around Giannis. And then there was a quote that came out the other day that Raphael Stone, the GM of the Rockets, said that they talked to Milwaukee, but that they got that it was in no uncertain terms. They said that they weren't moving him, so they didn't even talk to them about Giannis. So I mean, I don't think that they make all the moves that they did this offseason. Like, why are you bringing back Bobby Portis? Why is Gary Trent Jr. taking a really below market deal? I mean, he signed a 2-year, $8 million deal. When he signed that deal, I thought that it was $8 million per. When I saw that he was only making like $3.5–4 million a year, I'm like, he took way below market rate to come back. He's not doing that if Giannis isn't going to be there. Because he could have easily taken that money from the Knicks. He would have slid right into that Gershon Yabusele mid-level, and he could have doubled his salary and gone to a better team. So I mean, the reason why he would stay is because he's got a better opportunity to showcase himself playing next to Giannis, and also not just showcase himself, but like Gary Trent Jr. is going to be like their second or third best player next year. So I mean, I don't think that all those guys make all those moves unless they are under the impression that that's where this is heading. And also, if you're going to trade him, the time to have traded him would have been around the draft. Because if you want to move draft capital around, like, once a draft pick is made, that pick becomes much less valuable unless it's like a Dylan Harper, for example. Like at that point, okay, like, maybe Harper is somebody that other teams are enticed by. But if you're going up and down the league, like, let's say Atlanta made an offer and they're like, oh, we'll give you Jalen Johnson and a bunch of picks and our picks from last year. Like maybe Milwaukee doesn't like Asa Newell. Maybe they would have rather had someone else. So, I mean, like, once those picks are made, they're just not as valuable. So I feel like now wouldn't be the time to make a a seismic trade, it would have been right in the beginning of the offseason when you had all summer for both franchises to basically position themselves for the next year, not a couple of weeks before you start preseason games.
Now, next year, obviously, after the season, we'll have a bigger conversation about that. I think the odds of him go higher depending how they do. All right, 2 more things to get you out of here. My draft starts in about like 3 minutes, but it's okay. Joe Mazulla and the Celtics agreed to a multi-year extension. This is obviously was made early in the month. The terms and length of the deal were not disclosed by the team. He has a 182-64 record in his first 3 years as head coach. Remember Joe Mazulla a couple years ago was on the hot seat, and now they love him in Boston now.
Yeah, it's amazing what winning a title will do for you. So
absolutely,
I still don't think he's a perfect coach, but he's good, and the guys resonate with him. And I think in the NBA specifically, that's like 75% of the battle.
And I think also Boston realizes too, which is why they made the moves they made with getting rid of KP and getting rid of Drew Holiday. That next year is going to be a sneaky rebuilding year. Let's put the brakes on things. Maybe we get a 6 seed next year in the East, but we're not really a title contender with just Jaylen Brown being there with Tatum being out for the entire season. And they're gonna be patient. And then next year will be the year they return to form. They at least what they think. So, and they identify Mazulla as their guy, and it's good to see that Mazulla, after going through that rough patch a couple of years ago, he's gotten the confidence of the ownership group, the new ownership group, especially too in Boston, which took over the team recently. So there's that. Last thing here, I want to touch on some things here. There's still a couple of notable free agents out there, both restricted and unrestricted. On the restricted side, we have Jonathan Kuminga, which is obviously the biggest name right now of the bunch. Josh Giddey still available, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas. On the unrestricted side, we have guys like Russell Westbrook, Malcolm Brogdon, Gary Payton II, Ben Simmons, Caleb Martin, which surprises me, Alec Burks, Thomas Bryant, and Patty Mills. Which names intrigue you the most on either side?
The restricted free agents have been the most interesting of this entire thing, just because they're still young. I'd imagine Giddey will wind back with the Bulls at a lower number. I'd imagine that Cam Thomas is probably going to sign his qualifying offer and then play out the year and try and get as far away from the Nets as possible. I think that he thinks that he's worthy of $25-30 million, and they're lowballing him. So I think that's an issue to watch. As far as the regular free agents, and going back to it, I'm pretty sure Grimes will be back with the Sixers. Regular free agents, I think that Sacramento wants to add Russell Westbrook for whatever reason, but in order for them to do that, they have to move Malik Monk. So I think that'll be one trade that you'll see prior to the start of the season. Malik Monk will be moved somewhere, and by opening up that salary space, they'll sign Westbrook. Not saying that I would do that, just those are the tea leaves that you're seeing. So I think that could wind up being a move, but Brogdon will wind up somewhere, maybe like a Golden State or something like that. But
he can't stay healthy.
Mills, really,
he can't stay healthy, Brogdon.
No. He's always hurt. But if he goes to Golden State and gives you 10 minutes off the bench, or if he goes to a team and plays like a Ty Jerome role, where they're like, just run the offense for 10 minutes and that's it. Can he handle that? Probably. So, but yeah, he's a better name than he is in practicality.
All right, real quick, I'm in the draft right now. I'm coming up right now. I am projected to take Ashton Genty in Vegas right now, and then I come around and probably Achan in Miami as the 12th pick. We'll see this plays out. See Lamp's on the board now. I'm surprised.
Yeah, one thing that I want to add about the fantasy is that I've wanted Achan all along, and the reason why I'm probably going to avoid him in pretty much every draft, he's got a calf injury right now. And I've watched way too much basketball to know that those calf injuries are problems.
All right, here we go. So I'm next now. Neighbors on the board still before I go. All right, I'll give my top 5 picks here that I can take. Come on, Noah, pick a pick. Come on, boss, pick one, man. Call it a day. He's not taking Neighbors. He hates the Giants. No way he takes Neighbors. Do I take Amon-Ra St. Brown or Neighbors?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I'll take both.
Yeah, but then you don't have a running back. My issue with Neighbors is just that he's so banged up prior to the year. It's like
I'll take Neighbors. Okay, and now I have the next pick. I take St. Brown, Genty, Do I load up on receivers now, get out of the way? Do I get a running back?
I mean, you probably go running back. I don't know.
Jonathan Taylor.
If it's a PPR, Taylor's probably not the best pick. So
yeah, should I go St. Brown? Load up the receivers now, get out of the way.
I mean,
I have Josh Jacobs on the board too. Also, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be more inclined to take Jacobs and pair a receiver and
I did. Yes, I did. Jacobs and Neighbors.
Because I crunched all these numbers yesterday when I found out I was having the 12th pick in my one draft, and I'm like, I can get other wide receivers later. You know, like you could get Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley in like the 5th round and be happy with that. You can get like a Terry McLaurin, one of those guys much later. But I feel like you can't get a running back of a Jacobs caliber in the 5th or the 6th round. I mean, all those guys are in timeshares and all that. So I mean, Jacobs, is locked into that role. Same thing with like Chase Brown. Like there are a couple running backs that are going to carry the bulk of it. And if you pass on, you want to have at least one of those running backs. You don't want to have 2 running backs in a committee.
Yeah, right now. So I'm going to go quarterback next in the 3rd round. So, the names that intrigue me in free agency still, obviously Kuminga. Do you think Kuminga will be the Warriors by training camp?
I think he will be begrudgingly, and I don't think he's long-term fit for there. I think that he doesn't want to be there anymore. And it might be the same thing with Cam Thomas with the Nets, same kind of thing. Like these guys look at it and they say, wait a minute, Tyler Hero's making $30 million a year and you want me to play for 8 or 12? They're like, I get that there's a financial ramification to everything that goes on, but these guys are ego-driven and they're not going to be matching up with Tyler Hero or Emmanuel Quickly making $30 to $35 million a year and Cam Thomas is making 6, or Jonathan Kuminga is making 12. Like he wants to be paid 30, 35 million, just like any of these other guys. He doesn't want to, Kuminga doesn't want to make less than Herb Jones is making, Right. So I mean, and Kuminga is different too, because you could make the argument that since the day that he was drafted there, Golden State has done everything possible to stunt his growth. Whereas at least the Nets, with the case of Cam Thomas, they have allowed him to flourish there in terms of like, they'll let him take any shot that he wants and they'll let him go out there and jack up 27 shots and score 40 points. Like Kuminga has been in and out of the doghouse pretty much since the day he was drafted with Steve Kerr. So, I mean,
it's a weird situation in goals. It's a weird situation. It really is.
But he could look at it and say, they have done everything possible to sort of stunt my career and affect my earning potential. So I have no love lost. There's no love lost between us. And he probably wants to get out of there.
He'll be out there. He'll be out there. If not this year, he'll be out there next year.
But to get out of there, he might need to just show up on the qualifying offer and just go through the motions. Kind of like Ben Simmons went through the motions when he wanted to leave Philly. So, I mean, there's that part of it too. Some of these guys could be there and be unwilling participants in the activities. So,
right. I think of these guys here, I think Westbrook will find a home at some point. Kuminga will be there, obviously. I think I'm surprised Caleb Martin's have a home yet. I'm really surprised Caleb Martin's have a home.
Can't stay healthy. Kind of older. Didn't really do much with Dallas or Philadelphia in his last couple stints. So maybe he's just phasing out of rotations at this point.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's all the players that really intrigue me at this point. I know Thomas Bryant's playing overseas also too. So that's another one. But yeah. Other than that, that's about it for me, man. Anyone to plug?
No, nothing to plug. Just waiting for training camps to get underway and see how teams. I think what we just talked about with the restricted free agents. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. Is the fallout from that, and we should start getting news about that like within the week. So I'm curious to see, not that any of these guys are going to different teams, just how the contracts play out and how that affects how they play in that ecosystem. Because I mean, again, if a guy thinks he deserves $30 million,
hold that thought, because I may get Joe Burrow right next. Hold on, because I have next 2 picks coming up. Let's see. They'll go quarterback and then go receiver again, or quarterback running back. How should I do this? He's gone. Fuck, he's gone. Here are my choices of quarterback: Mayfield, Nix, Murray, Purdy, Herbert. I'm leaning Herbert, to be honest with
you. With your third pick?
Mayfield, Nix, Murray, Purdy, Herbert. The 5.
Don't take any of those quarterbacks. You might as well just wait until later and
take a receiver. Take a receiver, running back.
Yeah, is Kittle still available?
Who?
George Kittle, tight end.
I don't see him. Hold on, let me see. Yes, he is.
Okay, I'd probably take Kittle
I took him, and then now what now?
Running back, wide receiver. What's the best available?
Running back: Hampton, Kamara, Hubbard, Connor, Henderson in New England. Receivers: I have McLaurin. Ooh, McLaurin. Mike Evans? Nah, he's a little older though. Smith, Jamiga. I'm gonna take McLaurin. He's got paid. He's happy.
Yeah, I guess, but he missed all training camp. I'd probably take one of the running backs. I'd probably take Travion Henderson from the Pats.
Okay.
If it's a PPR.
Yeah, it is PPR. It's PPR. It is.
Okay. Yeah, because that guy looked so explosive in the preseason, and even though he's in a committee with Ramondre Stevenson, explosive. He's going to be doing all the pass catching when they get him in open space. I mean, he reminds me of like a Jahmyr Gibbs. So,
right. All right. Thanks for your help there. Appreciate it, man. Yep, so I'm ready for your odds in. You're the best.
With your next picks, I'd probably be looking at wide receivers like Cortland Sutton and Calvin Ridley, and who else might be there? DK Metcalf. He might not last until there, but those are guys that I guess you'd consider at that point.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, you can follow Greg, of course, on X at G Hrinya NBA. That's GHRYIN. Shit. GHRINYA. Damn it. Why did I put the Y early? I don't understand why I do that all the time, bro. I don't know why I do that. Stupid.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm on X as EJ Christian 7 Earnestly podcast across all podcast catchers. Of course, this is the debut episode of the Earnestly NBA show. When we come back, we'll have theme music for this stuff and all that, and artwork and all that. So until the next time we see Greg, which will probably be in October, we'll talk to you guys soon.